You give me something. Promises, promises. James Morrison there, and we now open the telephone lines because Brian from McTear's has joined us. Good morning, how are you?
Good morning, I'm very well.
Good, good, good. Sun is shining today, most of the areas in it, which is great, away from yesterday's snow and all the rest of it. When I would imagine when you have sales in the sales room and things, weather can be a particularly bad one. If you get a bad day, then that knocks down the numbers. Then does that knock down the prices? That's what I was getting to.
It was more of a problem a number of years ago before live bidding came in. But nowadays with live bidding, if people can't make it to the auction room, they simply take the choice to either bid by telephone, bid through the internet, which is happening this morning. At McTear's, we've got British and Continental ceramics and glass on this morning. We've timed it really well again to get me out of the auction room.
Doing any work, yeah.
Doing the real work. And this week's frantic, and hopefully the weather will stay away. It's nice to have people in the auction room. It's nice to have lots of people in the auction room, and we do attract big crowds. But it can be a factor, of course, yeah.
Now, normally when Brian's in, we look at some texts and things, and we're going to do that as well. We'll look at some of the things you've sent in and some of the things that have been selling in the auction room. But we thought one of the things that we don't normally do is take telephone calls on this one. But we thought we would, just for today, because the last time Brian was in, there was a couple of people, after he'd gone, asked if he can talk about certain pieces that they may have. So if you have an item or something, a query, doesn't necessarily need to be about a particular item. You know, if you just have a query regarding antiques, not medical things, you know, because he's not Dr. Brian.
No use.
Not yet. So no medical points. But if you do have something you would like to ask him, then give us a call. That's 0845 500 1152. 0845 500 1152 is the number. Ricardo will take the calls in the background as we're chatting away. It's all live radio, you know. Now, I last time, I omitted to mention an item that had been sent in by Marion Sandilands. Marion, good morning to you. Thank you very much indeed for sending the photographs of a bulldog in. So tell us about the bulldog. You've got the photographs, and I must say, there's nothing like putting someone on the spot. And we're really putting Brian on the spot here because this is the first time about 5 minutes ago that he got to see these photographs of the bulldog. And I'll tell you what I said, Marion. I said, Brian, here's the ugliest thing I've ever seen. And because I don't think it's very bonny. But what do you think of the photographs of the bulldog that Marion has sent in then?
Well, I've got to say, Ally, I don't honestly think I've seen this particular figure before. The best I can describe it is it's a bulldog which is wearing a fairly plain army helmet. It's all in brown. I suppose the best comparison I can make, the most recent James Bond movie, those of you who have seen it will remember the British bulldog that was sat on M's desk.
Yeah.
This is exactly like that, except the dog is not draped in the Union flag. And for that reason, I think it's that little bit rarer. When you look at the photograph which has been sent in, you can see clearly in the bottom, this is also Royal Doulton, and the Union flag draped dog that was in the James Bond film also would have bared the march to Royal Doulton. You would, those in the know would recognise that right away. Yes. I would suggest that you're probably looking at a figure of, I suppose, £200, £250 or so in auction for this one. Yeah, just based on the fact that I've not seen one of these exact models before. It would take a little bit more research. As you say, you've put me right on the spot there. I've not. We're put on the spot every day, so we just have to use, I suppose the basis of valuation is, have we seen it before? That's going to give us some degree of how rare we perceive the figure to be.
I'm just reading through Marion's letter here, and she says, it's Churchill and it's got to do with the war, it's military and it's Royal Doulton, and gives me the number. We were told it would start around about £200 on a good day. And again, it comes to if somebody really wants it, doesn't it?
I think that's probably about right, £200 for it. That's the figure I had in my mind and stated, yeah.
OK, there we go, Marion. Thank you very much indeed for sending the photographs in, and apologies that you had to wait to get that one over the month there. Let's go to the first caller then. Anne Peebles is here. Anne, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Not too bad.
Good. You're through to Brian. What's your query this morning?
Morning, Anne.
Well, I've got two Dimple bottles, but I don't have the boxes for them. I think they're 12-year-old. I can't read what's on the bottles at the moment.
That's the Dimple whiskey,
Yes,
which
that
we
was
see.
done at John Hay.
That's right. We see lots of those. Dimple is a blended whiskey. Generally speaking, you would find that blended whiskey doesn't contain the same value, doesn't have the same value as most malt whiskies that come up for auction. It is, however, quite popular, especially with the Continentals. We find the Chinese, Japanese and Americans will be, certainly show a lot of interest in Dimple's whiskey. They're obviously a very distinctive bottle. They are dimpled.
Isn't it? It used to be one you used to save sixpences up in. That's how I remember the Dimple. That was from the Higgs factory in Markinch, wasn't it, Anne?
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember that. And had wire round outside of it.
I bought one for my husband 30 years ago, and we've kept it. And he got another one 15 years ago for a birthday present as well.
Okay.
And
well, most of these Dimple.
I don't have the boxes for them. That's it. I don't remember. I can't remember if I got the boxes with them or not.
Well, like anything, especially I suppose more dinky toys and corgi toys, if you have a box, it makes the difference. It makes a little bit of difference to Dimple whiskies, but I would have to say most of them that you see, they don't have the original box. The important thing is that they are intact, that they've not been opened, nobody's cracked them open and had a wee sip of them, because that will destroy the value. But if they are intact, you're looking round about 50 to maybe £80, depending on exactly when they were bottled per bottle. Between £50 and £80 per bottle. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
There you go, Anne.
Oh.
So better than drinking.
I was going to say, go and have a sniff and it'll get you back, but no, don't touch it. Thank you very much.
No, I couldn't. No, I couldn't do that.
No, special memories there, Anne.
Because they were Dave's, and I mean, I couldn't do that. And I didn't want to give them away.
No, of course
but I just wondered.
Well, there you go. Round about £50 to £80 each. And
my goodness,
thank you very much indeed for bringing some boyhood memories back to me with a Dimple bottle as well. Yes,
right,
yes.
Thank you very much.
All
Thanks
the best
for calling.
Thank you. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. So there's Anne Peebles. Let's go to our next caller, who is Ian Mackay. Ian, hello there. How are you doing?
Ally, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
I've got, on the same whiskey trail, I have a bottle of Bell's Islander. Now, they were stopped producing, I think, 20 years ago. This bottle has never been opened, and you can't buy it nowadays.
That's certainly the case with lots of whiskey that does come up at auction in the rare and collectible whiskey auctions we hold. With it being Bell's Highlander, can I also point out... Islander. I should have brought our whiskey specialist along today if it's going to be a...
Just like it, doesn't it?
We should do a call-in just on whiskey.
Just on whiskey. Yeah.
But Bell's Islander, does it state it to be a blend rather than a malt? I think it would be.
It's a blend.
It's a blend.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, did you say when it was bottled? And
well, no, it doesn't say on it, but I was at the distillery in Pitlochry, I think it was last year, and they said that, hold on to it. He says it's been over 20 years since that's been bottled.
Okay, I've just when you've been speaking there, I've had a quick look at a database that we use, which gives us quickly prices back on recent bottles that have been sold. And I'm sorry to say that the value of the Bell's Islander, I'm looking at one bottle here that was sold along with another, which I cannot pronounce, with its original box. And the total that the two bottles sold for was £18 in May 2011. So we're probably not looking... It will have come up. Whiskey, if anything, whiskey has proved over the past couple of years to be a very, very good investment. So prices back in the middle of 2011, you would expect to have come up since then, possibly maybe £50 or so in comparison to 18-20 back then. But it's kind of in the middle.
It's not that I'm going to part with it. I thought if I could get a little bit more history. I was surprised that the distillery in Pitlochry couldn't give me more information.
Well, if you were to, we would be delighted to try and help there. If you were to pop an email into myself or into Ally that can forward on to me, I would find out what I could for you.
This is this problem here. I don't even know who your showroom is. You have their adverts on Radio Clyde, but you don't tell people where you are. It's always email.
I'm sorry. Do you not do email?
But if I wanted to come to your showroom, where is it?
Yeah, Right.
Okay. Just go on. If you go onto the website, it's McTear's.co.uk. That's got all the
content. To say I'm not on the web.
Oh, I'm sorry. Right. Okay. Perhaps we'll take your number and give you a call back with the details where we are.
Well, I think it'd be good to be on your advert so everyone would get to know who you are.
Okay, that's a good point. Thank you.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I could take you there, Ian. I know where it is. What's the address?
You know everything to Ali.
Tell us the address.
Okay, it's 31 Meiklewood Road in Glasgow.
In Glasgow.
In Glasgow, as the crow flies, in between Braehead, which is the big shopping centre most of the ladies will know, and there's a stadium called Ibrox. So we're kind of in the middle of those two venues, if you like.
And trust me, Ian, if you've got an interest in whiskey, you should go, because it is well worth a visit. I can assure you that. Ian, thank you very much indeed for your call. We've got lots of calls coming in now, so let's move on. We'll go to Peter after these.
At breakfast and on your way.
With the greatest hits.
Well, the phone line's very, very busy. Thank you very much indeed for your calls into Brian from McTear's, the Auctioneers. Just if you're getting the ringing tone, hang on and we'll try and get to you. I don't think managed to get them all in, but we'll see how it goes. Let's go to Peter next. Peter, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Peter. How are we this morning? All right?
Very well, thank you.
Jolly good. Right, you're through to Brian.
Right.
Morning, Peter.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Brian. I've had this for a while, and I just don't know if there's any point in holding on to it. I've got a record, a gramophone record. It's a 12-inch one, single-sided, and it's Enrico Caruso singing Ave Maria.
Right, so that would be one of the 78 RPM speed records, yeah. To be honest, I really do wish there was a market for records of this nature. I don't think there's a day goes by where we don't have some most beautifully bound sets of 78 RPM records coming into McTear's to potentially be put up for auction. But unfortunately, the marketplace for most of them, unless they happen to have a rarity for whatever reason, be autographed or whatever, it's a fairly depressed market. Unfortunately, the records, 78 RPM records anyway. But how's the condition of it? Is it okay?
Well, that was a nice bit. I've moved it a few times when we've been on a flit, and there's a wee bit broken off the edge of it.
Oh, has it? Well, that's going to...
it's a clean break, when it's together you wouldn't notice it.
Well, unfortunately, anyone interested in bidding for it certainly would notice that. I think I would have to...
I think you could disguise right enough, I just wondered if it was restorable.
Is
the record's still playable,
Not something that would really contain an auction value, I'm afraid, but thank you very much for calling.
No, it's just the fact it was a single-sided. I thought it was that old,
Worth a wee bit, but unfortunately not, Peter. I'm afraid.
Okay then.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Bye-bye now. Alec Wilson, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Alec. What would you like to ask about?
It's whiskey again, I'm afraid.
Oh, don't be afraid.
That's okay. I'll try my best.
No, I've got excuse me. I've got a couple of boxed bottles of Century of Malt, which was brought out in the year 2000. I think it was Chivas, but I'm not too sure. It's 100 malts blended, and they're boxed, and there's a wee booklet with all the malts.
Well, that sounds really interesting. It's not one that I've come across myself. As I think I've pointed out, I'm not our whiskey. We have a whiskey department at McTear's where we've got specialists there. I have probably sold hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of malt whiskey from the rostrum, but as far as valuing the items, especially there's so much of it, there's so much whiskey around out there, different ages and distilleries and so forth. It can be quite hard to put a value down without seeing these. Is it possible for you to send a picture, maybe straight to McTear's? Are you able to, dare I say, email it to us?
I'll try.
A man after my own heart.
Or even better, if you've got an iPhone, we have got an app now which you can send it to us.
Well, I'm not very good in these fancy phones.
Well, that's maybe for another time.
Computers, but I'll do my best to try and photograph them and send it in.
If you could send it. It doesn't need to be by email. Post, once again, 31 Meiklewood Road in Glasgow, G51 4EU. And if you just mark it for my attention, that's Brian.
Okay. If there's any problems, you can just send it in to me and I'll pass it on to Brian as well.
Right,
Alec,
thanks,
thank you very much indeed.
Okay,
thank you.
thank
Bye-bye
you.
now.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
I think you're right. We need to have a programme on whiskies and get your whiskey expert in, don't we? Because
We
it seems to be
do.
a lot of bottles out there.
I'm just going to keep trying to pass people off.
Jean. Hello, Jean.
Hello there.
Hello there. How are you doing?
Good morning.
Thank you.
Good. What have you got to talk about then?
Well, when I was a wee girl, my gran gave me this beautiful necklace. It's all ivory, and it's little elephants all the way round with a larger elephant, like the drop part, and a little brooch with 2 ivory elephants.
So this would ivory necklaces. We can often sometimes get quite excited about ivory necklaces because of the demand for ivory, which is carved in China. With the elephants, that's probably going to point towards it more being carved in India, and the value, I think, probably would be a little bit, well, certainly considerably less than the pieces that came from places such as Canton. Do you know exactly where it came from? Do you?
No, I don't. I mean, I'm an old age pensioner now, and I was just a wee girl when my gran gave this to me.
Well, the demand for ivory has certainly gone up in recent. I mean, you're certainly looking at a necklace that might not be worth as much as its Chinese equivalent, but certainly upwards of £100 for it if it's in nice condition would be.
Yes, it is in good condition. And
Yeah,
so is the brooch to match.
Right. Okay. Well, possibly 100, maybe even as much as a couple of £100. But if we were able to see it up close, that would allow us to be a bit more precise with the valuation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much indeed. And Jean, once again, we'll run through with you how to get a photograph. I know not everybody takes photographs on their mobile phones, but it's certainly one that would help us. Now, Brian was due to finish now, but the demand is so much, the switchboard is chock-a-block. Can you stay for another 10 minutes?
Oh, why not?
All right. Okay, then. We'll do the news. We'll get them out of the way, and then we'll come back to you.
11:52 a.m. Clyde 2 and Chimes International.
Lou Rawls and You'll Never Find. And you will find some answers here because Brian is here from McTear's, the Auctioneers. Just before we go back to some of the calls, Brian, I was reading about a very interesting sports cap that's coming up. Is it this Sunday? Tell me about it.
Yes, this Sunday at McTear's we have a sports memorabilia auction which includes signed jerseys, medals, but the item you're referring to is a very important item, which is one of Jim Baxter's, famous of Rangers and Scotland international caps. As we were discussing during the music there, interestingly, at the time that Jim Baxter, in the late 1960s, at the time he was awarded a cap, players were only awarded a cap per season. So if they played 5 games for Scotland, they got one cap for that for that season. Unlike, I think it changed in the 70s, where you would be given a cap per match. So it's a really rare. I believe Jim Baxter was only given 5 caps in his fairly illustrious career, and this is one which we have estimated, we think conservatively, at £5,000 to £8,000. There's a strong chance it will make £10,000-15,000. Perhaps not. Don't let me put you off for coming into McTear's to have a bid for it, because it could be bought for potentially a bargain £5,000. That's on Sunday at 1 o'clock.
Right, and again, as you say, lots of sports and memorabilia, but that's an interesting one. It'll be interesting to watch that live online, which I'll do now, because you've got me into that. I've been watching. There's a lot of really interesting items in the sale. As I've said, jerseys, autographed jerseys, medals, and other memorabilia, old tickets and programmes, some very early programmes from teams of past, such as Third Lanark, etc. And it's all on mctears.co.uk anyway. If any listeners wanted to have a look through, everything's listed on there, estimated and illustrated as well. Right, let's go back on the phone lines, and John Henderson's in Edinburgh. John,
how are you doing, Ally?
I'm very well, thank you. Good afternoon to you. What do you got for us then?
Well, I just want to know, I've got, me and my missus, we've got a wee ginger jar, a wee Malling ginger jar. It's got a pansy pattern on it, and it's got a pair of lustre. I'm telling you about it, I've got a picture of my phone, and I'm just sort of trying to explain it off my phone, but it sits in my living room, it's got pride of place in my living room. I just wondered if it had any value.
Okay, so it's a ginger jar, so it would be, what, about 8 inches, 9 inches high or so?
I think we've measured it at 16.5 centimetres, so about that, yeah.
Right, okay. Malling is certainly a very well-known pottery made in the northeast. I think it was Newcastle, northeast of England.
I think it moved to France originally, I think.
It came from Malling, it's spelled M-A-L-I-N-G. The name derived from Malin, which without the G at the end. But Malling china, the one you're referring to, was made in the northeast of England.
Right.
The Malin did come from French origin. Your piece would probably be, I would have to see the markings to be sure, but it's probably made in the 1920s. The pansy pattern was, I suppose to all intents and purposes, an Art Deco pattern, symmetric flower heads, and usually in bright, vibrant colours. As you say, very glossy, very high fired in the kiln 3 or 4 times, and I would have to say it used to be a lot more popular. Like a lot of ornaments as such, they've gone down a little bit. People don't so much nowadays put so much importance in having a display cabinet in their house, sadly, and items like Malling, which are, if you like, middle of the road ceramics, can tend to make reasonably less than they would have done a number of years ago. But,
I wish I'd sold it years ago then.
well, hindsight and all that, but if it's in nice condition, if it's not cracked and not chipped,
it's in very good condition, and it's also got its wee lid with it as well.
Well, that's good. I think you could look, without seeing it's obviously a little bit tricky to be exact, but somewhere between perhaps £50 and £80 at auction would be achievable.
Well, that's not too bad then.
Not too bad.
That's not bad. Thanks very much for that.
If you do have it on your phone there, John, then send it to us and let Brian have a proper look at it. All you have to do is text 88600, put value Ally on it, and it'll come straight into us, and then Brian can have a proper look at it.
Well, I'll try and do that then, Ally. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed, John. Thank
you. Ally. Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Let's go to Rita next. Hello, Rita, who's in Cumnock. Hi, Rita.
Yes, hello.
Hello there. What do you got for us then?
We have a tatty teddy bear, a seated tatty teddy bear, about 3 feet high, big chunky fellow.
Is this the make of the bear? Is
yes,
this the maker?
Apparently.
And can you spell that for me?
I'm not sure whether it's just tatty as T-A-T-T-Y. I really don't know.
Right.
I thought that's what she was saying was tatty. Yes.
I thought you were referring to the condition of it, but
no, it's in perfect condition.
I thought we were looking for some scones.
No, it's no tatty bears. There is a make. There is a make of bear called tatty. Indeed. There's no doubt at all the bears which are made by factories such as Steiff, they're top of the tree. The tatty bears, you wouldn't see. I don't think as being particularly valuable. It's a 3 foot one, so it's bigger than most.
This is huge.
Do you know when it was made?
No, actually, he was used for display at a retailer's in Irvine.
Oh right, okay. Well, that makes it a wee bit rarer. Display models, there was usually obviously a lot less of them made. They were made to display in the windows to encourage people to come in and
that's right, yes.
and buy them. But off the top of my head, I would suggest probably 60, 80, maybe £90 or so for a bear of that nature. And as you've said, it's not in tatty condition, so it should be.
No, it's in lovely condition.
Yep, I'm sure you would find a buyer at that kind of level.
Would you consider selling it?
Well, actually, it's not mine. It's my daughter.
All right.
But no, I don't think she'd consider selling him.
No.
She wants to hang on to it.
We did see smaller ones locally in a shop window, much smaller, at about £100 and something.
That would be the retail price of them. That's which is different from auction value, which effectively is going to be the second-hand value for items such as that.
So you think maybe about 60?
Probably between 60 and £90, yeah.
All right, thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Right. Thank you. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Okay, we've got time, I think, to take maybe 2 more calls, so we'll do that after we hear from Adele. And let's go back on the phone lines for the final time today then, I'm afraid. James Pollock. Hello, James. How are you doing?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and how are you then?
Nae so bad.
Nae so bad. All right. Okay, you're through to Brian.
Stop off an egg, Ollie.
You're through to Brian.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Hello, James.
Hello, Brian. Good afternoon. I'll tell you what it is. It's actually their heirlooms of my wife when she was here. It's the shepherd and shepherdess. Now, there's the sword in the bottom, the blue sword, and the 2 wee dots. Now, I'm curious as to where this originates from.
Without seeing an image of the actual figures themselves, when you mention blue swords, and when you mention swords at all in marks, immediately any value would be drawn towards some of the Dresden factories, such as Meissen and so forth. And it's a single sword rather than cross sword?
It's a single sword and the 2 dots.
Okay, so I don't think that would point towards Meissen, but a lot's going to depend on the quality of them. Really what I would like to see, rather than give you...
There's a picture of them.
Is a picture, yeah.
I can't use that, I can't do that. I don't know how to work it.
Goodness sake, James, get to grips with technology, man.
You don't even have to email it. Everybody's got our address now, and we're going to redo our adverts as well.
If you could even just take a photograph of it, James, and send.
She got them from her grandfather many years ago, and where he got them from, I don't know. But
well, a lot is going to depend where they were made, which we would have to see the mark to see if we can identify, and also conditions of paramount importance, especially with items of porcelain.
Well, they're fairly good, in good condition, I can tell you that.
Well, that's good. That's good. There's potential that they could be of some value.
Don't touch these. Don't touch them.
Don't touch them. Listen, if you can send a photograph in, just send it into the station and I'll pass it on to Brian. James, thank you very much indeed. Sorry I have to rush you, but Brian's got a bus to catch. Fiona, hello.
Hello there.
Hello there. Right, you're in Killearn.
I am.
Indeed. Right.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. What do you think? What do you want to talk about then?
Well, I've got a glass dish. I'm not sure if it's lead or just bog standard glass in the depiction of the Queen's crown. Not the big one, the fleur-de-lis one that she wears all the time with all the diamonds in it. And it's a Royal Jubilee dish from 1837 to 1887.
Okay. I know. I do actually know exactly which one you're talking about. Unfortunately, I must have seen hundreds of these over recent years. I think you'll agree that it's quite a sturdy glass dish. They're not very brittle, though.
Well, it must be. It knocked about the loft for God knows how long.
Yeah, because they are so sturdy, it seems that most of them have survived. I'm not suggesting you do, but if you dropped it on the floor, it would probably just roll about a little bit. But please don't do that.
No, not my floor.
It's. I think one thing we were last time we were talking a little bit about collector's items and how things that were never made to be collector's items actually turn out to be the things that are more valuable collector's items. In respect of this item, it was made as I suppose the epitome of collector's items are royal commemoratives. Anytime there's a royal wedding, jubilee, christening, whatever, the ceramic manufacturers and glass manufacturers will make lots of things to commemorate that event. And the thing is that people over the years will look at this and see, wow, Victoria's Jubilee, this has got to be worth something in years to come. But so many of them, as I've said, have survived. And I would fully expect if that went to auction for you to get the grand sum of about £20, maybe 25. I'm afraid that's all for something that's 130 years old or thereabouts. It's not a lot, but that's.
But it's just a pretty dish, and I just wondered.
Yeah, that's it. But it's not of high value. But hang it back in the wall and or back in the attic, wherever you want to put
it. Anyway, thank you for.
Thank you very much indeed, Fiona. Thank you. Bye bye now.
Bye
bye. So that's it on the phones because we have been very very busy, and our sincere apologies. We weren't sure. That's the first time we've done a phone in with Brian on auction items, and we weren't sure how it would go, but. Fair to say it's been very popular, isn't it?
That was really good. I enjoyed that, and perhaps it's up to you, Ally. You're the boss. We might do that next time.
No,
if you want.
Yeah, and I think there was also there, and we have identified throughout the country there are people who have bottles of whiskey that they think are worth of money, and it would be good to get your whiskey expert in, I think. Okay, well next time we'll bring we've got David and Stephen both in our whiskey department, so we'll select one of those at random next time, and they'll come along. So if you have if you want to concentrate it on whiskey, fine, but whoever calls up will get taken. So whether you've got whiskey, jewellery, whatever. But I think the thing is, next time whiskey will be able to give you much more a precise answer than I've been able to do, even with by aid of my iPad right beside me here. And just a reminder, if you would like to send a photograph in, if you can, then send it. If it's just a straight photograph, as we had earlier on the bulldogs there from Marion. In fact, you checked up on the bulldog, and you think that's maybe worth a wee bit more. Well, yeah, I found one
just after Marion came off the telephone, that had sold actually for £220 in 2011. After digging a little bit deeper, I actually sold, or found one that was sold in 2012 for £320. So they're going up. It looks like £100 a year. I don't know if they've gone up another 100, but it gives a bit more comfort over the fact that we are probably, again, comfortably looking at £300 for the dog.
Right, okay, so Marion sent the photographs in to me and we looked at them and valued them. If you would like to either send photographs into the station or indeed do it by mobile phone, if you can take the photograph of the item, just text it to 88600 and with the words value Ally, then that goes straight through to Brian and he'll get back to you with a valuation on it. But Brian, for the moment, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.